Namaste, friends, disciples, and devotees. Today we continue our series, Terminology in the Integral Yoga, with Sri Aurobindo's words on presence. It is intended by the word presence to indicate the sense and perception of the divine as a being, felt as present in one's existence and consciousness, or in relation with it, without the necessity of any further qualification or description. Thus, of the ineffable presence, it can only be said that it is there, and nothing more can or need be said about it. Although at the same time, one knows that all is there, personality and impersonality, power and light and ananda, and everything else, and that all these flow from that indescribable presence. The word may be used sometimes in a less absolute sense, but that is always the fundamental significance, the essential perception of the essential presence supporting everything else. From his letters on yoga. Beyond mind, on spiritual and supermental levels, dwells the presence, the truth, the power, the bliss that can alone deliver us from these illusions, display the light of which our ideals are tarnished disguises, and impose the harmony that shall at once transfigure and reconcile all the parts of our nature. From the Essays, Divine and Human. But if we learn to live within, we infallibly awaken to this presence within us, which is our more real self, a presence profound, calm, joyous, and puissant, of which the world is not the master, a presence which, if it is not the Lord himself, is the radiation of the Lord within. From the Life Divine. And again from the Life Divine. The true soul, secret in us, subliminal, we have said, but the word is misleading, for this presence is not situated below the threshold of waking mind, but rather burns in the temple of the inmost heart, behind the thick screen of an ignorant mind, life, and body, not subliminal, but behind the veil. This veiled psychic entity is the flame of the Godhead, always alight within us, inextinguishable, even by that dense unconsciousness of any spiritual self within, which obscures our outward nature. It is a flame born out of the divine, and luminous inhabitant of the ignorance grows in it till it is able to turn it towards the knowledge. It is the concealed witness and control, the hidden guide, the daemon of Socrates, the inner light or inner voice of the mystic. It is that which endures and is imperishable in us from birth to birth, untouched by death, decay, or corruption, an indestructible spark of the divine. And again, from the life divine, if we need any personal and inner witness to this indivisible all consciousness behind the ignorance, all nature is its external proof. We can get it with any completeness only in our deeper inner being, or larger and higher spiritual state, when we draw back behind the veil of our own surface ignorance and come into contact with the divine idea and will behind it. Then we see clearly enough that what we have done by ourselves in our ignorance was yet overseen and guided in its result by the invisible omniscience. We discover a greater working behind our ignorant working and begin to glimpse its purpose in us. Then only can we see and know what now we worship in faith, recognize wholly the pure and universal presence, meet the Lord of all being and all nature. And again from the Life Divine. The presence of the Spirit is there in every living being, on every level, in all things. And because it is there, the experience of Satchidananda, of the pure spiritual existence and consciousness, of the delight of a divine presence, closeness, contact can be acquired through the mind or the heart or the life sense, or even through the physical consciousness. If the inner doors are flung sufficiently open, the light from the sanctuary can suffuse the nearest and the farthest chambers of the outer being. And now, 2 quotes from the Synthesis of Yoga. There is a secret divine will, eternal and infinite, omniscient and omnipotent, that expresses itself in the universality and in each particular of all these apparently temporal and finite, inconscient or half-conscient things. This is the power or presence meant by the Gita when it speaks of the Lord within the heart of all existences, who turns all creatures as if mounted on a machine by the illusion of nature. And the second quote from the Synthesis. For what yoga searches after is not truth of thought alone, or truth of mind alone, but the dynamic truth of a living and revealing spiritual experience. There must awake in us a constant indwelling and enveloping nearness, a vivid perception, a close feeling and communion, a concrete sense and contact of a true and infinite presence, always and everywhere. That presence must remain with us as the living, pervading reality in which we and all things exist and move and act. And we must feel it always and everywhere, concrete, visible, inhabiting all things. It must be patent to us as their true self, tangible as their imperishable essence, met by us closely as their inmost spirit, to see, to feel, to sense, to contact in every way, and not merely to conceive this self and spirit here in all existences, and to feel with the same vividness all existences in this self and spirit is the fundamental experience which must englobe all other knowledge. And a few from letters on yoga. One must have faith in the master of our life and works, even if for a long time he conceals himself, and then, in his own right time, he will reveal his presence. In Essays, Divine and Human, he writes, beyond mind, on spiritual and supermental levels, dwells the presence, the truth, the power, the bliss that can alone deliver us from these illusions, display the light of which our ideals are tarnished disguises, and impose the harmony that shall at once transfigure and reconcile all the parts of our nature. And our last quote from Mother. For in human beings, here is a presence, the most marvelous presence on earth. And except in a few very rare cases, which I need not mention here, this presence lies asleep in the heart, not in the physical heart, but the psychic center of all beings. And when this splendor is manifested with enough purity, it will awaken in all beings the echo of his presence. Words of the Mother, Volume 15. Namaste.